Kevin Stefanski had a choice, and he chose to fake it. Reports now suggest that Shedeur Sanders was healthy enough to play, but Stefanski listed him as injured anyway. The decision wasn't strategic, it was political. And it's blown a hole straight through the Browns' credibility. Offensive coordinator Tommy Rees saw what was happening and stepped in, quietly training Sanders on the side and exposing the rift behind closed doors. It was a bold move that challenged Stefanski's authority, but it might be the only reason the team hasn't already collapsed. The Browns aren't losing because of injuries or bad luck. They're losing because leadership refuses to face reality. Dillon Gabriel continues to struggle, while Rees's push for transparency and better play is gaining traction. Garrett's outrage, Sanders' exile, and the locker room's unrest are no longer isolated problems.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
They're all connected. And unless someone like Rees takes control soon, this team is heading toward a full-scale implosion. The Cleveland Browns are in crisis, not because of a bad playbook or an injury-riddled roster, but because leadership has completely derailed. What started as internal frustration is now a full-on mutiny waiting to happen, and at the center of it all are three names: Kevin Stefanski, Shedeur Sanders, and Tommy Rees. This isn't just about poor coaching. It's about deception, broken trust, and a locker room that's watching its season get thrown away because of one man's unwillingness to do the right thing. Let's start with what lit the fuse: Shedeur Sanders. He was supposed to be the future. Some say he still is. But instead of getting his chance to lead, Stefanski told the world that Sanders was injured. Case closed, except it wasn't. Sanders was seen moving fine in warm-ups, healthy, sharp, game-ready. No limp, no signs of distress, no reason he shouldn't have been on that field. So why lie? Shedeur Sanders, practicing. That's what the players are asking. That's what the staff is whispering behind closed doors. That's what fans are now demanding to know. Because it wasn't a miscommunication. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. Kevin Stefanski chose to keep Shedeur off the field, not because of health, but because of optics. Because admitting Shedeur was healthy would have meant acknowledging that benching him wasn't about injury, it was about control. And that deception shattered the last bit of trust holding this locker room together. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel continues to start. Week after week. Despite the turnovers. Despite the lack of rhythm. Despite the offense looking like it's stuck in neutral. Stefanski clings to Gabriel like a life raft in a storm of his own making, even as that raft is clearly sinking. And it's not just fans noticing. Inside the locker room, frustration is boiling. Myles Garrett, the veteran, the leader, the guy who's bled for this team, has started speaking out. Not directly. Not with names. But anyone paying attention gets the message. His comments after games are sharper. His tone is heavier. His body language says what he doesn't. Something is seriously wrong. And what's happening with the offense isn't just a football problem. It's a leadership problem. Because the truth is, Stefanski's lost the locker room. And when that happens, it's usually a wrap. But here's the twist. Someone else is stepping in. Quietly. Steadily. Effectively. Tommy Rees speaking. Tommy Rees. While Stefanski spins narratives, Rees is training Shedeur. While the head coach fakes injury reports, Rees is in the film room. While the offense stumbles under outdated decisions, Rees is keeping players focused. He hasn't made noise publicly, but his actions are louder than any press conference. Rees didn't just step in to help a benched quarterback, he stepped in to lead. And now players are looking to him. Because when your head coach is caught in a lie, and your offensive coordinator is the only one still working like the season can be saved, that's where the real respect shifts. This is no longer a debate about who starts under center. This is about who leads this team. And right now, it's not Stefanski. The deception around Shedeur's injury broke the dam. It revealed what many inside the building had already started to feel. Decisions weren't being made for the good of the team. They were being made to protect egos. And in a league built on performance and trust, that's poison. What Stefanski did wasn't just bench a quarterback. He undermined an entire roster. He sent a message, loud and clear, that doing the right thing doesn't matter here. That talent gets buried. That politics win. But not everyone's playing that game. Rees is earning respect the old-fashioned way, by showing up, putting in the work, and keeping the players ready. His mentorship of Shedeur has become more than just a side project. It's the only lifeline this offense has left. Because when the time finally comes, and it will, Rees will be the reason Shedeur doesn't just survive his debut, but thrives in it. Let's be honest, this team is barely hanging on. Not because of talent. The Browns have talent. What they don't have is accountability at the top. And the longer this charade continues, the more permanent the damage becomes. There's a clock ticking behind the scenes. Not the game clock. The kind that counts down to when the locker room fully breaks. Because once that happens, it's not just the season that's over, it's the culture. You can feel it. The players are checked out. Not all of them. Not yet. But enough that it's noticeable. Cleveland, the belief is fading. The trust is gone. And the front office knows it. That's why the whispers about Rees are getting louder. Because Rees is the only person in the building still acting like this team can be saved. And maybe, the only person who should be in charge right now. It's not just about coaching anymore. It's about credibility. And Stefanski lost his the moment he claimed Shedeur was injured. Because what happens the next time a player gets pulled with a nagging injury? What happens the next time a QB goes down, and everyone wonders whether it's real or strategic? Once that line is crossed, it's almost impossible to walk back. And Stefanski didn't just cross it. He danced across it and hoped nobody would notice. But they did. Now the Browns are in the middle of a full-blown credibility crisis. One that's tanking morale, derailing the season, and turning a playoff-caliber roster into a walking controversy. And yet, there's still a window. Barely. If the Browns make the right move now, if they stop protecting a collapsing narrative and start embracing the people doing the work, they can still course correct. That means pulling Gabriel. That means promoting Shedeur. And that means acknowledging that Tommy Rees has been doing the job Stefanski refuses to do. But every week they wait, the fracture gets deeper. Every game that passes with Gabriel under center and Rees sidelined from real decision-making is another nail in the coffin. The Browns are standing on the edge of collapse, but they're also staring at a clear solution. Rees has shown he's ready. Shedeur has shown he's able. The only thing missing is the courage to make the call. And the cost of waiting? It's not just the season. It's the future. Because if they let this blow up, the Browns won't just lose games. They'll lose the locker room. So what happens now? Does the front office finally intervene? Does Stefanski admit defeat before it's too late? Or does this season crash and burn under the weight of lies and stubbornness? It's all on the line. Shedeur Sanders is ready. Tommy Rees is ready. The only question is whether Cleveland is. Let us know where you stand. Should the Browns hand the keys to Rees and let Shedeur take over? Or has Stefanski already done too much damage to fix? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if you're still holding out hope, and subscribe for the next chapter. Because in Cleveland right now, it's not just football. It's survival. Let's not sugarcoat where things stand. The Cleveland Browns are staring down the barrel of self-destruction. This isn't a mid-season slump. This isn't growing pains. This is a franchise on the verge of collapse because of leadership that refuses to lead and decisions that make no sense to anyone except the man still calling the shots, Kevin Stefanski. And the longer this situation drags out, the more irreversible the damage becomes. We're not just talking about bad football anymore. We're talking about institutional failure. The kind of dysfunction that poisons team chemistry, stalls young talent, and turns playoff potential into locker room mutiny. And at the very core of it is a head coach who's lost the pulse of his team, and, frankly, lost the benefit of the doubt. Match sideline. Let's go back to the spark that set this whole thing ablaze, Shedeur Sanders. One of the most talked about quarterback prospects in recent memory. A guy who walked into the league with poise, intelligence, accuracy, and a very clear sense of how to lead. He was supposed to be the answer. And he still could be. But instead of being given the chance to prove it, he's been sidelined under circumstances that have nothing to do with performance and everything to do with politics. Stefanski's explanation? Injury. A claim that disintegrated in real time when Shedeur was spotted pre-game moving just fine. No visible issue, no reason to believe he wasn't physically ready to play. So why push that narrative? Because admitting Shedeur was healthy meant admitting the decision to bench him wasn't about health at all. It was about preference. About pride. About a coach trying to maintain control over a situation spiraling out of his hands. That lie exposed everything. Not just Stefanski's lack of transparency, but the growing fracture within the organization. It confirmed what players had already started to suspect, that decisions weren't being made in the best interest of the team. They were being made to protect egos and justify bad calls. And once that realization sets in, trust goes out the window. Myles Garrett said it best, without even saying much. You could read it in his face, in his tone, in his posture after games. His patience is wearing thin. His belief in the coaching staff is hanging by a thread. And when a leader like Garrett starts pulling back emotionally, the locker room follows. That's what makes this moment so dangerous. Because this isn't just about Shedeur. It's about what his situation represents. A young star with obvious potential is being stifled. Not because he can't perform, but because a coach won't let him. And while all that drama plays out on the surface, something else is happening behind the scenes. Something that might end up saving this team if the front office is paying attention. Tommy Rees. The offensive coordinator wasn't brought in to stir the pot. He wasn't supposed to be the one holding this thing together. But right now, he's doing both. Quietly. Professionally. Effectively. While Stefanski pushes out injury fiction, Rees is working with Shedeur in private. Coaching him. Mentoring him. Keeping him locked in and prepared so that when the moment comes, he's ready. That's not just quarterback development. That's leadership. And the players know it. Rees isn't yelling. He's not politicking. He's doing the work. That's what earns respect in the NFL. Not titles, not post-game quotes, but action. Consistency. Results. And that's where the power shift is starting to happen. The more Stefanski refuses to adapt, the more Rees stands out. He's the one making adjustments. He's the one coaching with clarity. And he's the one keeping the only capable quarterback on this roster mentally and physically ready while the rest of the building pretends he's not an option. Make no mistake, this is a leadership vacuum. That's the irony in all of this. Stefanski's clinging to authority while the team drifts toward someone else. It's not official, but it's real. And the front office has to see it. Because what they're watching unfold isn't a difference in play style. It's a difference in values. One coach is fighting to save his reputation. The other is fighting to save the team. And that's the fork in the road. Stick with Stefanski, and you keep the dysfunction alive. You keep Dillon Gabriel on the field. You keep players like Garrett disengaged. You keep losing the belief of a roster that knows something's not right. Or you make the bold move. The necessary one. The obvious one. Promote Shedeur Sanders. Hand the offense to Tommy Rees. Show the players, and the fans, that truth matters. That the best player plays. That leadership is earned. There's no time left to play political games. Dillon Gabriel, speaking, the season's teetering. And every week they drag this out, more cracks form. More players check out. More fans walk away. The Browns were never supposed to be in this position. Not with this defense. Not with this much young talent. Not with this much potential. But the sad reality is, they've been sabotaged from within. Stefanski didn't just pick the wrong quarterback, he built a web of excuses to justify it. And once the injury lie surfaced, the whole thing fell apart. Now, the locker room sees through it. The players know what Rees is doing, and they know what Stefanski isn't. They're watching a coach protect his ego at the cost of their careers. And they're watching another coach quietly keep the team afloat. It's only a matter of time before that tension erupts. The question is whether the front office acts before that happens, or waits until the damage is permanent. Because if they don't step in soon, they won't just be choosing Stefanski over Rees. They'll be choosing regression over progress. They'll be choosing dysfunction over leadership. They'll be choosing failure. And when that happens, the team won't just lose this season. They'll lose players, coach, direction. Because trust, once broken, doesn't rebuild itself. You have to show people things are changing. Not with slogans. Not with spin. But with real decisions. With consequences. With action. This team doesn't need more meetings or statements. It needs accountability. That starts by pulling Dillon Gabriel. Not next week. Not later in the season. It starts by acknowledging that Shedeur Sanders is ready and that Tommy Rees has kept him that way. It starts by showing players like Garrett and every other leader in that room that they're not being asked to sacrifice their careers for the sake of one man's stubbornness. It starts with telling the truth and acting like it matters. Because the players already know what's going on. The fans know. The league knows. And the longer the Browns pretend otherwise, the more obvious it becomes that leadership isn't just failing, it's actively in the way. Do the Browns stay the course and watch the locker room unravel even further? Or do they take the leap, elevate Rees, and give Shedeur the reins he's already earned? There's no more middle ground. No more time to wait and see. This is the moment. And whether the franchise survives it or gets buried by it, comes down to one decision. At this point, it's not even a quarterback controversy, it's a credibility crisis. And the Cleveland Browns are running out of room to pretend this isn't a 5-alarm fire. The silence from the front office is deafening, and every week they stay quiet, they're making a statement. They're willing to let the season die on Kevin Stefanski's hill of ego and denial. There is no path forward that includes the status quo. That bridge has burned. Let's talk about what happens when leadership starts making decisions based on fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of losing control, fear of letting go. That's exactly what's playing out in Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski is not coaching to win. He's coaching to survive. And in doing so, he's killing any chance this team had at being competitive. The moment Stefanski told the world that Shedeur Sanders was injured, when it was clear to everyone, including the players, that Sanders was fine, the dam broke. That wasn't just a bad call. It was a lie. And not the kind of lie that's about miscommunication or misunderstanding. It was a calculated move to manipulate the narrative and keep his preferred quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, on the field. Even after weeks of underperformance. Even after the offense stalled again and again. Even after the defense, led by veterans like Myles Garrett, held up their end of the bargain. Dillon Gabriel was still under center, and Shedeur Sanders was still standing on the sideline, watching a game he should have been in. It doesn't take a football genius to know what that does to a locker room. This isn't just about playing favorites. This is about playing with trust. And once players feel like the guy in charge isn't being honest, it's over. They start questioning everything. The game plans. The schemes. The rotations. The culture. That's exactly where the Browns are now. The locker room is fractured and everyone knows it. You can see it in the eyes of the veterans. You can hear it in the weight of Garrett's post-game quotes. You can feel it in the stadium. There's no confidence. No unity. Just frustration that borders on exhaustion. And yet, somehow, amidst the chaos, one figure inside the building is still trying to hold it together. Tommy Rees. The offensive coordinator wasn't brought in to start a revolution, but he might be leading one anyway. Not with leaked stories. Just with quiet, consistent action. While Stefanski buries talent, Rees develops it. While the head coach misleads the media, Rees focuses on preparing the guy the Browns should be building around, Shedeur Sanders. Let's be clear, Rees isn't just a passive assistant watching this ship sink. He's actively trying to bail out the water. Working with Shedeur behind the scenes. Making sure he's mentally sharp, physically ready, and emotionally supported. Not in theory. In practice. Shedeur Sanders, practicing. Because when the time comes, and it will come, Shedeur has to be more than ready. He has to be perfect. And Rees knows that. That's real coaching. That's what leadership looks like. And don't think the players aren't noticing. They are. Because in a building full of noise, Rees is the only one doing anything that feels real. And in the NFL, that's everything. You earn trust with consistency, with presence, with action. And Tommy Rees is checking every box. Kevin Stefanski Master Collection. It's become painfully clear that the Browns' biggest problem isn't talent. It's denial. They're trying to hold on to a leadership structure that's already collapsed. Everyone can see it. The quarterback room knows it. The defense knows it. And the front office? They're either pretending not to or hoping it'll fix itself. Spoiler, it won't. There is no version of this story where Stefanski gets the team back. That moment has passed. You don't fake injury reports and expect players to keep believing in your leadership. You don't sabotage your own roster and expect trust to magically return. That's not how this works. And with every game that Shedeur doesn't play, with every drive that Gabriel struggles through, that fracture gets wider. Let's talk about what this means long-term. If this continues, the Browns aren't just losing games. They're losing the faith of everyone inside the building. Cleveland veterans will check out. Free agents won't want to come. And young players will start to see Cleveland as a place where talent is mismanaged and loyalty is weaponized. That's how bad teams stay bad. Not because of a lack of talent, but because of rot at the top. But, and here's the crucial part, this is still salvageable. Not for long, but right now, the Browns can still make a move that changes the entire trajectory of the season. They can elevate Shedeur Sanders. Let him start. Let him take the reins he's been ready for since day one. And they can let Tommy Rees lead the offense. No more half measures. No more hiding behind job titles. Rees is already the de facto leader in that room. It's time to make it official. Because the moment that happens, everything shifts. Players buy in again. Hope returns. Momentum builds. You stop losing the locker room and start rebuilding it. Browns losing to Steelers, but it has to happen now. Not next week. Not after one more ugly loss. There's no more room for indecision. Not when a coach is clearly more interested in controlling the narrative than winning games. Not when your most talented quarterback is being wasted. Not when the only person showing leadership is the one without the authority to make final calls. This isn't complicated. The Browns have the answer. They've had it the whole time. They're just refusing to use it. And the fans? They've had enough. They can see what's happening. They know when something's off. And they're tired of being gaslit by an organization that keeps asking for patience while making all the wrong moves. The outrage isn't about one bad call. It's about a pattern. A pattern of decisions that favor politics over performance. Loyalty over logic. Denial over truth. Kevin Stefanski created this crisis. Tommy Rees is trying to fix it. The question is whether ownership will finally step in and choose a side. Because the middle ground is gone. The team is slipping. The season is slipping. And unless someone with authority makes a call, it's only going to get worse. The moment of decision is here. So what's it going to be, Cleveland? Shedeur Sanders, do you keep pretending everything's fine? Or do you start acting like a team that actually wants to win? Let us know where you stand. Should Tommy Rees be running the offense? Is it time for Shedeur to start? And has Stefanski already crossed the point of no return? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you're watching this mess unfold with disbelief. And subscribe so you don't miss what could be the Browns' most dramatic chapter yet. Because this isn't just a quarterback story. It's a leadership story. And right now, Cleveland's running out of leaders.